Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're connecting from. I just had some technical issues. I was supposed to start this broadcast at 12 o'clock. So if you connected with me at 12 and you realize like, ooh, it's not live. Yeah, it's StreamYard. Like I'm hoping that one day LinkedIn allows us to go live from directly from the platform because StreamYard sometimes always have connection issues. And so here we are today. I was like babbling away only to realize that I wasn't streaming on LinkedIn. So thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome to Wear It Wednesdays. If you are looking to take your professional image and style to the next level in an authentic way, then you are definitely in the right place. If you're joining me live, let me know in the chat that you're here so that because I was at first I was wondering, right, how come nobody is like replying and saying they're here live? So if you're here live, let me know that you're here in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me and see me and I'm broadcasting. Great. So thank you very much for that. If you are watching the replay, thank you very much for coming back and listening to today's conversation. I really do appreciate all your support and you all being here every single Wednesday at this time, listening to me share tips as how you can take your professional image and style to the next level. So thank you very much for being here. Before I get into today's conversation, I want to kick off with a wellness check-in. I want to know how you're doing, how you're feeling. There's still so many things that's happening in the world, and sometimes we don't realize because we're going and going that things are taking a toll on us. And so it's important for me that you understand and that you know that you can just take this moment and just sit with yourself and really tap into how you're feeling and knowing and learning what tools you really do need to help you with whatever challenges or struggles that you're going through. To my friends, families, supporters in Florida, I hope you all are doing well. I know how there are a lot of persons who would have been impacted by the hurricane. And so I hope that you and your family are doing well. So thank you very much for being here. I send you love and light your way as you get back to some semblance of normalcy after the hurricane. If you're new to this space, I'm Salida Roberts, founder of Style to Impact. Welcome, welcome. Thank you very much again for being here. Can you believe that we are less than 90 days from 2023? Like, it just blows my mind to think about like we are literally in 23, like 2023 is right around the corner. If someone sent me an invitation to be on their podcast and they're like, oh, these are the dates that I have for guest appearance, and it was January 2023, and I was like, yeah, but this is so far away. And it's like, no, 2023 January is literally couple months away. And so I wanted to come in here and have a conversation with you in terms of how can you start positioning yourself, because we're in the last quarter, right? And for most of you, you're starting to think about your career and your business and what you want for the next year or the next 2 years. And some of you may wait until the end of the year. Some of you may wait until January 1st to set your New Year's resolutions, to choose your intention and your word. But I really want to encourage you to start setting those goals and intentions now. Like start thinking about them. You don't have to like have an absolute answer, but if you start thinking about it now, it means that you're not creating something or thinking about your plan because everyone else is doing it. Hi, Dr. Webb. Thank you very much for being here. I so love to see you. It's been a while. And so start thinking about where you want to see yourself in a year, 6 months, or maybe it can even be a month, right? You don't necessarily have to plan your whole life, but I want you to start thinking about that. Because something that I've realized, like as I'm building my business, And compared to when I was working for someone, like I never thought of myself as a brand, right? I always thought of myself as an employee. Like I go to work, I do my work, and I get the work done, and I look at, how do I want to elevate in my career and kind of like set those steps for that. But something that I've really discovered, especially now that I'm building my business, is that you are a brand regardless if you have a business or you work for someone, right? Because your brand is ultimately, how you want people to see you. It's what's connecting them to you to be able to create those opportunities that you need, because how you show up is how others will see you, right? However you choose to show up is how others will see you. And we know that we live in a very visual world. We live in a very snap judgment. When you think about your first impression, it's like 7 seconds or less. If you are a woman of color, that people will place judgments on you. Now, sometimes those judgments are not right, and I do not support that, but I do understand um, a way that, when we're thinking about creating relationships and interacting with each other, I think of that first impression. And when we're looking at someone, not as judgment, but as we're looking for something to connect to us, to create conversation, to really break the ice, like an icebreaker. I always look at it that way. And so when you think of your image and when you think of your style and your appearance, think of how do you want to show up and what do you want to say? And understand this, right? You have total and complete control over your image and style. Like you can't control how someone looks at you, what they perceive and what they say, but you can control how you show up, right? You can tap into what your message is. Some persons are going to like it and some persons are not going to, right? And that's okay. The goal is for you to show up in a way that's authentic to you, for you to show up in a way that will help you to grow your career. And so I was doing some research, and for the life of me, I thought I made a note of it, but I did not, as to this formula that I found, which says that it's pi. So if you know what pi is and who was the author of it, let me know in the chat because I completely forgot. But it says that performance, your career success is 10% of performance, 30% is your image, and 60% is exposure. And so, if you were anything like me, early in my career, even when I started my business, it's like performance, performance, performance. I was putting all this energy into this 10%, right? And we know, yes, that 10% is your expertise and you're already great at what you're doing, right? But putting all that emphasis and like efforts into that 10%, then you're neglecting the 90% that's going to allow you to have that growth that you need in your career, right? Because you're already great at what you do. You're going to get the certificates. You're going to improve your speaking skills. You're going to, just find the certificates and the different things that you need to elevate and get yourself to that level. But if you are neglecting the 30% of your image and the 60% of exposure, like where you're going and how you're interacting, then you are not allowing yourself to accelerate your career, right? And your career growth. And so for me, that 30% is what I work with my clients on, right? Really building a wardrobe that aligns with your authentic self, your influence, and your power so that you can position yourself for the success that you need. So while you have the 10%, which is performance, and I'm giving you the 30% of your image, that 60% now, it's because your image does allow you to have that exposure, right? Because image speaks on your behalf. Your clothes speaks on your behalf. It allows you to have conversations even when you don't think that you're having a conversation. And so I thought about how I use style and how I use my clothes to speak for me. I'm like super introverted. I'm not shy. I'm introverted, especially when I'm in a new setting. I go into a room and I usually just kind of like observe the room, see who I'm connecting with, look for those connection points, right? And so I've always dressed in a way that allows someone to come to me first, right? And I've had instances where, either they're complimenting my shoes, or they're complimenting the way I put colors together and the way I'm wearing an outfit, or they're complimenting maybe a necklace that I'm wearing. And that, just that little thing would allow me now to open up and have a conversation, right? I feel a little bit more free. I feel a little bit more at ease having that conversation, because what I did, I allowed my clothing and my style to really speak for me, to really signal to that person, ooh, she seems interesting, or she seems like someone I want to talk to, right? And so, like, even on LinkedIn today, a connection of mine is wearing this really beautiful pink blazer, and she had the sleeves folded. And so I was like, oh, I love the way you look in that blazer. Super nice. But one detail that I did notice is the when where the sleeves were folded, there was a bit of artwork, right? And so I saw that contrast and I was like, oh, I love that. And that created this conversation where she then shared with me, one, where she got the blazer from, and then two, that the lining in the blazer is actually artwork by women. Like, each, this company, what they've done is they contracted artists to just paint different, I think it's like different designs, and that's what they use as the layering for their blaze. And that created a conversation. If we didn't already had a great connection, that would have sparked an even deeper conversation. So I really want you to think of your style as that, as it's speaking for you, and getting a sense of what your style is saying. Is it what you want it to say? Right? It's not about trying to fit into any mold or bracket of what everyone else is wearing or doing, but really crafting your style to send the message that you want, to connect with the people that you're looking to connect with, and really amplify your brand. And so I want to share with you the 4 steps that you can use to supercharge your style, like really take it to the next level, and of course elevate your brand so that you can grow your career. Because remember, you are a brand. Whether or not you work for someone or you own your business, you are a brand. People want to connect with you, they want to have conversations with you, they want to learn about you before they can hire you, or before they can give you the contract or the job, whatever you're looking for in your career or business. Love the idea. Yes, I did, like, I can't see your name because I think the way your LinkedIn is set up for visibility, it just shows up on LinkedIn whenever you're doing live as LinkedIn user. But yeah, the idea of having that blazer lined with that artwork created that conversation, right? And that is really what you want to do. Think about what elements of your style, of yourself, can you infuse. And this is why I think authentic styling is so important for your visibility and the impact that you want to make, because those little details is what makes an impact and allow you to have the conversation, and you become, like, even if you don't want it, right? Everybody notices you in the room, and you should, if you're building your career or your business. That visibility does matter. As I said, it's 60% exposure. And so the first step that you want to start working on is to make a list of your career goals. Like, what are your career goals? Where do you see yourself in, as I said, the next month or the next year, or maybe 6 months? Like, where do you see yourself going? If you are, like, maybe you work in for a particular company or an industry, and you see yourself growing maybe to the C-suite, or you see yourself growing, taking on more leadership responsibilities. Like, where do you see your career going? If you own a business, is it that you want to know, like, no longer operate in your... Hi, Kristen. Thank you very much for that, Kristen. I appreciate you being here. And so you want to think about, like, if you're owning a business, like, is it where you, at that point, you're like, okay, I want to become the CEO of my business, where operations and the day to day and passing that on to someone. Like, what are your career goals? Where do you see yourself going? And then the B part of that is, what do you need to do that's surrounding that goal? Like, what are some shifts that you need to make around to be able to achieve that goal? So for instance, you may want to start thinking about, maybe you need a mindset shift. Like, what is happening with me today? Like, I can't speak. And so you want to, maybe you want to have a mindset shift, right? Start thinking more positively, start surrounding yourself with positive people, start maybe creating better habits, right? Like, what do you need to be able to achieve your career goal, the career goal that you set for yourself? What do you need to achieve for that? And when I talk about career, know that it's both. If you have a business or if you work for someone, right? Your career is what you do, whether or not that's a business owner or you are working for someone. And so the second thing that you need to do, like the second step, is to really create a vision. But this is a different type of vision. You have to create a vision for how you want to show up. Like, how many of you, let me know in the chat, how many of you actually sit down when you're making, like, you're making your end of year review, and then you're creating your plan for the following year, whether or not your personal and your professional goals, sit down and actually include your image and the way you want to show up as part of your goal setting strategy. I can raise my hand and say, earlier in my career, that was not something that I did. Like, when I started my career, I started working as a teller in a commercial bank and in Antigua, right? And so I remember I was super excited to get the job, and I needed work clothing because obviously I just came out of college. I didn't have any professional attire. And so I went to work clothing one to do the interview, and that then translated into what I needed to wear to work. And so I went to the only store that if I remember correctly, that was selling professional wear. And I bought 2 suits. You're going to laugh at me, but don't, because it's the best that I could have done at the time. And I didn't understand the whole concept of personal style at the time. And so I bought 2 suits. They were both pinstripe. One was black with white pinstripe, and one was white with black pinstripe. I don't remember ever wearing the white one because I never liked how I looked in it, and I didn't feel confident wearing it into the workplace. It just didn't feel right. So I wore the black one with the white pinstripe. I think I wore it for a year. And then my supervisor said to me, and like pulled me aside, and this wasn't like end of year review or anything like that. She kind of like pulled me aside, and she's like, you have so much potential. You have an opportunity to elevate in your career, but your image is not aligning with what I know you're capable of and what I know that you want to achieve. Because then obviously we would have had these career conversation in terms of what I wanted to do. And to this day, I thank her for having the courage to do it, because a lot of us, if someone does have that conversation, we get into our feelings. But I absolutely thank her for that, because from that day, I started to plan and set a vision as to how I want to show up. Right? Every time I sat down and I made that list of what my career goals are, where I want it to go, I also planned how I want to show up. I always made this running joke that every time I moved up in my career, I moved up in a brand that I was shopping, right? So first, I remember when I actually did start investing in my personal style and my image, I was shopping at, I want to say at the time it was H&M. Yeah, H&M was just like H&M was the store at that time. I started shopping at H&M for my professional wear. And as I elevated in my career, I was like, oh, I need to go to Ann Taylor. So every career move that I made, I changed. I had a vision and I set a goal for how I wanted to show up. And that, of course, translated into the brands that I started to shop. So I need you to think about, how do you want to show up? Set that goal for how you want to show up. Don't wait until you get into the position. Don't wait until you get into the C suite. Don't wait until you start running your business. Start now in making that and creating that vision, how you want to position yourself to get into that. That's why number one is so important, to identify what your career goals are. And then, of course, create a vision for how you want to show up to get to that space. And you have to start doing that now. Your image and your style will support your goals. Trust me, right? You're looking at me right now because I've decided, and every time I love all of you for connecting with me because you see how I'm showing up, right? And that is influencing the way, the conversations that I'm having with you, and of course, my professional goals that I have for myself as well, right? So create that vision for how you want to show up in your career or business. And then the third thing that you need to do is to really determine how you want to show up in the world, right? How do you want to be perceived? And this is your overall message. How do you want to be perceived? What do you want to communicate? What do you want to leave with persons that you come in contact with? For me, if you look at my brand, I want it to be clean, clear, professional. I also want it to be relatable, and I also want you to feel a sense of, yeah, I can see where Solita is coming from. So I never talk about things in a technical way. I always try to bring it down as simple as possible, just the way I would want to learn it. I'm also telling it to you, right? So really determine what your message is. How do you want to be perceived? And to do that, I have a simple thing that you can do. This is how you connect your message and your professional style and wardrobe. Make sure that it's aligning, is to come up with 3 words, and this is going to act as your guide, right? Your words can change because you change, because your career changed, your strategy changed, everything changes. But to start, come up with 3 words that you want to have to describe yourself and to describe your message, like how you want your brand to come across. And so before you can think about what to purchase and what to buy and what to put in your closet, you really have to know what your message is, right? How do you want to show up? What do you want to say? And a great example of this, is Tracy Ellis Ross. Like, I absolutely love her. Like, I love her style. I love her energy. It's so fun. It's so carefree. She's so bold. Like, she's absolutely amazing. And every time I see her, whether or not she was caught on the streets wearing some wide leg jeans, some sneakers, and a blaze and a t-shirt, or she was captured on a red carpet, or maybe she's in a sitcom. To me, her style always looks the same, right? It's universal regardless of where she's flowing in. And like, I don't know what her 3 words are, but every time I see her, I get the same message about her. Every time I see her, I feel the same energy about her. And so you want to think about your 3 words. Like, for me, I think about my words change because I'm very visual, I'm very creative, and I feel very at ease. You're just flowing with my style. But the general basis of my style is that I want to have fun and I want to be bold. So you're going to see bold colors in my clothes, right? My choice of clothing. You're going to see that in my brand as well, where I'm being bold with my colors, where I'm being bold with my things that I want to achieve. And so think about what your 3 words are, write them down, because this is going to allow you to not only align your business and your professional image and style and wardrobe together, but it also will help when you're purging your closet. Because if you're saying one of your words is that you want to be bold, and you go into your closet and you have all dull colors, then that's not aligning with how you're saying that you want to show up. So go in your closet. That's going to help with purging your closet and removing those clothing that don't align, but create those 3 words as to how you want to express yourself. And then the fourth step is to give yourself grace, trust yourself. Like, understand that style and revamping your professional image will take time. You will make mistakes along the way. I make mistake along the way. Like I'm still making like a poor buying decisions sometimes, right? And that's because like, oh, I didn't tap into my words, I didn't tap into myself, but I'm like, I got influenced by something that didn't really align with me. So give yourself grace. Know that it's going to take time. The most important thing for you to do is to start small, especially if you're thinking about revamping your style for where you want to go and you've never worked on your personal style before, you've never made it a part of your professional development, then you need to start small. And some ways that you can really start small, it's like based on your career trajectory and how you want to show up on your message and what you want to say. It may mean something as simple as switching out your t-shirts that you wear to work for more blouses or button-down shirt, right? Because maybe you want to get to the C-suite, and so you're doing that switch out. Or it can be simple as something as switching out your cardigans for a blazer because you want to have more of a polished and structured look. So start small. Give yourself grace to go through the process because it will take time for you to eventually get to that space where you're like, oh yeah, this go, I love that, and really connect and align your personal style with truly who you are so that you can grow your career. So thank you all very much for joining me. I really appreciate seeing you all in the chat. Thank you very much for being here. If you're joining me late on this live, what I was talking about today is sharing with you the 4 steps that you can use to supercharge your style and elevate your brand so that you can grow your career. And those 4 steps are: 1, determine what are your long and short-term goals for your career. Know how you want to show up by creating a vision for how you want to show up. Understand your message, and to really align your personal professional image with your wardrobe and how you want to show up in your brand is really to identify 3 words that you're going to use as your guide. And then of course the 4th step is to give yourself grace. Everything takes time, right? And so for your homework, let me know. You can share it in the comments on this live, or you can send me a DM with it. Is to really think about your 3 words that you're going to use to align your professional image and wardrobe. Like that is your homework, to identify your 3 words that you're going to use to align your professional image and style. You can share those. If you are, you're free to share them in the chat, or you're also free to send me a DM. I would love to see what those are and see how you develop your style. So thank you all very much for being here. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your support. I'm always grateful to see you in the chat. It does allow me to feel a sense of connection and community, and it doesn't feel as though I'm talking to myself. So I really do appreciate you being here. If we haven't connected as yet, definitely hit that follow and connect button here on LinkedIn. I appreciate you. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can connect with me on YouTube as well. But thank you all very much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe and be well. Take care. Bye.